My mother suffered her entire life with abdominal issues. I am pretty much positive that is what she had. I knew for sure the business was going to be named after my mom. She loved sweets. She did. She loved sweets. It's nice to always bring that connection together.
Welcome to the Ill Noise Business Playbook. We sit down with people building real impact in their communities and unpack the vision behind their work. If you care about real stories and real connection, you're in the right place. Let's make some noise. Hey, welcome to the Ill Noise Business Playbook. Please make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Subscribe, please. We have here Pam with Rosie's gluten-free sweets. Pam, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us. Really want to get into all the beautiful things that you're doing at your location. And I really love the fact that my wife and I, the producer, the heartbeat of the show, had an opportunity to visit you. And I will say, even before we get started here, you got some good food there, Pam, and you got a lot of stuff there too, which I think is really cool. So thank you for giving us a prize on the way out. We didn't get home before we finished it. I can say that. So yes. And also, before we do get started, we love our past guests and we have really strong relationships with our past guests. And Lori with No Sugar Mama, she's all aces in our books. That's something my grandfather, God rest his soul, would always say to me, that I was all aces in his book, and she is with ours. She's been so wonderful. How is it that you were able to get to meet Lori?
Wow. Okay. So about 4 years ago, Lori called me and she was trying to find some space to do some baking. And she sounded very genuine on the phone. And so we set up a time, we chatted, and it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool. And I love when things like that happen too. Rosie's gluten-free sweets. Tell us, first off, your name is Pam. I by the way, I'm sure you're aware of that as you look at your driver's license. But tell us about the name of your business and just, tell us about what made you decide to start the business.
Wow. Okay. So you're right. My name is Pam. I named the business after my mother.
Love it.
Yeah. So my mother has been gone now for about 20 years and she suffered her entire life with abdominal issues. Back then, they didn't do a lot of testing for celiac disease. And I am pretty much positive that is what she had.
Okay.
She's diagnosed with IBS and colitis and ulcers and all kinds of things, but never celiac disease. And so, poor woman suffered her entire life. And so I knew for sure the business was going to be named after my mom because now I can today even talk about her, and she loved sweets. She did. Right. She loved sweets and anything lemon. That was my mother. So yeah, it's nice to always bring that connection together with someone that played a big part in my life, my mom. The business, well, I will try to make the story a little bit shorter than not, but about 4 years ago, I literally woke up and told my husband, I said, wow, okay, God told me I was going to help those who love the lost ones. And he said, well, what does that mean? And I said, I don't know what that means. And I said, I guess I'm just going to have to wait and pray for clarity on that. So, he didn't say, Pam, open up a gluten-free bakery. He did not say that. He just said what he said. And I went, okay. But I knew 9 years ago, there was a need in the community. There wasn't a lot available as far as, safe food for people with sensitivities, and especially if you were a celiac. So I knew there was a need, and I don't know. It just came out of me one day. I was going to open up a gluten-free bakery. So I started with $500, looked for a dedicated. I knew the space had to be dedicated for sure. And I did find a place in Elgin that was dedicated, but it was shared. That was fine. When you're starting out, you don't care. It's like renting an apartment with 2, 3, 4 other people and you were so excited to have an apartment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a place to call your own. So I was like, oh, this is awesome, And so my daughter-in-law, Asia, I invited her along. Yeah, I invited her along the way. I said, hey, I need help doing this. And she was taking some pastry classes at the time at MCC. And she said, sure. And so her and I, we literally started the business. And we were there for about 2.5 years. And we grew. And a lot of coffee shops contacted me, wanted samples, brought samples, took me on right away.
Sure.
And I was really growing. And then what happens from wholesale is the residual, you get retail, people start calling you because they like the treats and they're like, oh, I want more, I want different. So we started to do just a little bit of retail, and I would free delivery. I did anything to build my business 9
You
years.
got it.
You just do. You work so hard and you love what you're doing and you're fueled by all this passion. So that we did. And it grew. In 2.5 years, I was probably between 80 and 100 hours in that kitchen, and I was working for my husband at the time too. So I was really busy doing a lot of different things. And I said, I said to my husband, we have to make a decision. Are we going to maybe do a build out, or should I just call it quits?
Right.
I just can't do it in the space anymore. So we talked about it, and he said, let's do it. Let's look.
Nice.
And so we ended up doing a build out in Woodstock. So we were in there. In 2017, Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving, we opened up,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. It was great. People found us. Of course, 2019, excuse me, I apologize. 17 is
okay.
when I opened the bakery, in 2019. And then 4 months later, you know what happened? COVID.
Sure.
I was like, man, all right, we just opened up 4 months ago, and now we have COVID. So that was crazy.
What, and I'm sure we could probably expound on that as well, but w- why with celiac? Can you share with the audience what celiac disease is?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's an autoimmune, and your body rejects the protein gluten.
Okay.
It's like really your body won't digest gluten, and there's so many symptoms. Everybody experiences different experiences. Some are just, it could be skin issues. It could be, of course, abdominal issues, rashes, joint discomfort. You could, you can even throw up. Some things are really, sometimes it can be really severe. Someone that is a celiac really cannot have any cross contamination at all. Whereas,
Yeah, and that was some of the research I had done.
yeah,
That cross contamination certainly is very problematic. What do you think are some misconceptions people have about gluten-free food?
misconceptions that it's horrible.
Well, I'm here to say it's not, since I
Yeah.
tried it, Pam. So
Thank you.
at least your gluten-free food is excellent. I can tell you that.
Well, thank you. But I will have to say, 20 years ago, it wasn't so good. The people, it was hard. It did get a bad rap. We are very fortunate for all of the wonderful bakers and the scientists and the people behind the scenes that do a lot of R&D. It's not a death sentence anymore when you are diagnosed.
Love it.
It's, back then you were like, oh, no, my whole life is coming to an end. What am I going to eat? Especially if you love bread.
What do you think you've named this after your lovely departed mother. I can empathize with losing a parent for sure. What do you think how do you see your mother and yourself when you're running your business?
Well, driven. My mother raised me by herself, and
Wow.
I watched my mother work really hard, and she was a really true inspiration. And I can't say, she had 4 girls. I'm the youngest. And,
Okay.
my mom really didn't do a lot of cooking and baking like some parents and moms do. And that's where you get all of that from. That wasn't the case with me. My mother was working so hard to survive and provide food for us. And
Sure.
it was just her work ethic was impeccable.
I love it.
I really feel like if I had to say, where did I get what I have today? It would be my mother's example. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's looking down on you with a big smile on her face, seeing that you're making such a difference. I think it's really important for all of us to try to figure out, navigate ways to make the world a better place when we leave than it was when we got there, right? You've mentioned your husband, and certainly your mother drives you. Was there other people that were that kind of stood out as far as helping you along the way when you got this business up and running?
Well, of course. Well, number one, my husband, for sure. Like I mentioned before,
Sure.
he is my silent business partner, my everything. He designed 2 bakeries. While working, he's a chiropractor here in town, and he's the full force of behind and my number one cheerleader for sure. And
Right.
I would say my family, it has been interesting and wonderful when you own your own business that your family is there and will support you however. And all I ever had to do was ask, hey,
Mm.
can you help me out at the farmer's market? Hey, I'm shorthanded with washing dishes. Hey, could you? They were always there, always so excited for me, ready to pitch in and help. And so, yes, for sure, my husband, my family, and then of course you've got your customers, right? People that have known me for 9 years and have followed me and still come into the bakery today
Sure.
and mention, I remember when you used to have this box on your porch, and that's where we would put our money in. Literally, I would have their food in one box and another box for money, and it was crazy. It was unbelievable what I did back then, and they all remember it, and it's been great. Yeah.
We talk a lot on this show that there's like three tenets that are very important with what we're doing, and that's telling stories and it's educating, but it's also building a community.
Yes.
Can you talk about what community sort of means to you regarding making sure that your business thrives the way it certainly seems to be doing so?
For sure. Community is everything. It's the building blocks of your business.
Sure.
And no one should ever take that lightly. The community, you know, they're there to support you. I cannot. Sometimes it's very humbling for people to come in and stand there and literally cry in front of the bakery display case because
Mm.
they can have anything they want.
Oh, so beautiful.
It's people who walk in that relate to what we're doing. They have allergy issues, right?
Sure.
And they tell us their health history. They
Right.
share all kinds of things, and they leave and they tell other people about us, and it grows and it continues to grow. And the other local businesses in the area, everybody, we all know each other. We really do. The small local businesses, we know each other, we lean on one another, we utilize one another when we can. It's a wonderful thing.
What was the biggest challenge when you switched over from the wholesale
Yeah.
format to the retail business?
Oof. Well, okay, so let's back up a little. So 2020, right, happened.
Yep. COVID happened.
Ugh,
Happened to all of us, fam.
right?
Happened to all of
I will tell you, I had hired my first employee at that point, and then I lost all my wholesale accounts.
Mm.
Bye-bye, right? So I was like,
Wow.
all right, I have to flip my business model overnight. And we had to do that. We had to put everything, we had to, we had to make an e-commerce site overnight, basically. And then I said, well, I'm going to bake bread because we need bread right now. We need comfort food.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, yeah, I baked, I don't know. I don't know, Joe, but well, I do know it was all God's plan, but I will tell you, everybody found me. Everybody came. We had orders all over the walls.
I love it.
It
That's
was great.
beautiful.
It was really great.
That's absolutely beautiful. If you were to, let's say there's somebody listening here, and I guarantee there will be, because we do seem to have quite a few people watching these
Yeah.
episodes, and somebody is sitting there right now watching this episode live and thinking to themselves, darn it, I love food. I want to start a business regarding food. What kind of advice would you give to that person, Pam?
Many years ago, I had a lot of people give me a lot of advice. Some I took, some I didn't, some I wish I had. For me, owning a business, that's a niche, right? It's a need for sure, is really important when you think about opening up a food business. There is a lot of competition out there, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot. And even for me nowadays, I mean, 9 years ago, there wasn't too many dedicated gluten-free bakeries. There's a few more now, but a lot more people are doing it. I think you should never give up your dream
Mm,
of what you have, what you hold dear to your heart.
preach.
Right? I feel what you do need to have a good support system,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you do have to have such an unbelievable passion for what you do. And I think those two things will drive you. And things will happen.
Yes.
Right. So I keep telling my friend Lori, who we talked about earlier, I'm like, oh, more's coming. More is coming.
Yes.
And I mean that in both a challenge way and also a blessing way, of
Sure.
course, right? And it will come, and you have to just keep pushing forward,
I want to go back to something you said. You had mentioned that when we talked about advice, and you
Uh-huh.
said that there was some advice you were given that you wish you would have listened to. Can you give me an example of that? Because I have to
Absolutely.
admit, I'm rather intrigued by that.
Okay, this is a good one. Yes. So have as little skews as possible.
Okay, that's practical advice.
So yeah, I only wanted to do one thing, and it turned out to be this big, right? People will push you to do more. They just will naturally because they love what you first gave them, and they go, this was really good. Can you do this? Can you
Right.
do that? Can you do this? And 9 years ago, I said yes to everything.
Mm,
I said yes to, sure, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. Which, don't get me wrong, it really gave me a good learning experience.
sure.
We all need.
Yep.
However, it will distract you and take you away from your purpose, the
Mm,
main purpose.
right.
And there was a lot of people that told me, don't do it. And you're in a position right now that you're building your business, and you're going to want, and you're fueled by this passion, and you're going to say yes to everything under the sun. Don't do it.
Right.
Just be careful, So my biggest advice is, yeah, if you're going to make something with specifically food, and maybe even not food, little excuses possible. My menu is quite large right now.
It is.
It's really large. And yeah, my husband said this to me too. Why you keep baking so many different things? Well, because people want it.
Sure.
And so, yeah. So, but you do have to be careful. That's what I mean by that.
I know that. I know you're supportive of other businesses.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've referenced Lori. We're very friendly with Kate, who owns
Mhm.
Eastside Cafe
Yes. Yes.
in West Dundee, and I know that you have some of your products over there. How did that relationship start between you and Kate?
Okay, well, that was a long time ago too. Many years ago, Kate purchased, names I'm not too great at, but she was at a different location in Dundee,
Okay.
just around the block. And
Okay.
she bought the business from someone else. Uncommon Palette. That's what it was called.
Okay. A little plug to a business that's no longer there, but I'll
It's no
take it.
longer there, I know, but it was great. And a customer actually got me that account. It was
Hmm.
the strangest thing. Yeah, I tell you, the customers work for you. They will
Yes.
work and beat the pavement for you if they
Hmm.
want something in a place. I have a I have a few customers like that. And I
Yep.
had this French lady, she loved our friands. That's how I started the business. And she got me into that Uncommon Palette. And that was what the place Kate purchased, and changed the name, of course. Kate, of course, called me and said, hey, your things are selling well. We'd like to continue that relationship. And so, yeah,
Kate.
that's how I know Kate.
Kate's wonderful.
Yeah, she
As
is.
as you know, she's all aces in my book too. By the way, I
Yeah.
have to say, when you are creating, you're creating your own legacy with this for sure, and you're also helping people that are really struggling out there to be able to eat something that
Mhm.
is sufficient, that kind of goes with their own personal dietary needs. I'm sure you have many examples, but can you remember somebody that just sort of really stands out that, you've really been able to sort of overwhelm them with providing such beautiful delicatessens as you have?
Sure. Well, there's a lot. But
I'm sure.
what comes to mind, I have a young woman. She lives in Woodstock. Her name is Amy. Hi,
Okay.
Amy, if you're watching. She's wonderful. She actually wandered into my bakery when we were in Woodstock, and of course has a gluten allergen. And
Sure.
we became friends. And I have known her for probably, gosh, almost 7 years now, maybe 6, 7 years. But she's very grateful for our bread, our sandwich bread, and
Mm.
she buys a lot of bread from me, and she always comes to the bakery. She lets me know ahead of time, so we make sure we have that bread for her. Always so sweet. She'll make me a craft, and cute cards that she shows her appreciation. My gosh, the girl is amazing. And she's
Beautiful.
like the number one cheerleader too. She's always liking and commenting, but she always mentions how it's changed her life. Yeah. Yeah. Being able to have the bread that she enjoys, because bread's
Yep.
hard. Bread in general is real hard for people.
Mm.
It's a tough one when you're gluten free. You want something that tastes like the real deal.
Right. Well, there's a lot of dough in it,
Yeah.
figuratively and literally. When you think back to what you're doing right now, I mean, you've really, in the last decade or so, you're really making a difference. You're really helping people live better lives and more fulfilling lives and more full lives in more ways than one. When you look back at what you've been doing here, Pam, what are you most proud of?
I'm really proud of my current staff, and I really am. I've got some good people, and I've had some good people now for quite some time. That they're, in our industry, we call it our bakery family.
Sure.
Uh, it really is. I don't take that lightly. Our
Mm.
bakery family currently is really so strong. I love them dearly. They work really hard, and this is not an easy business. It is not easy in being consistent with the product that you bake and put out. That's what really makes you good. I mean, you get, especially with a new customer, you get one chance at it to impress them with the customer service, the product,
Yep.
how it tastes. You get
Yep.
one chance, right?
Yep.
And you would just hope that they bought maybe two things, not just one thing, and walked
Sure.
out and said, "Oh, I'm never going back to that one." Or else they liked one thing out of the two. Who knows? But my bakery family is they have my back.
I love it. I love it. When I have led teams in the past, I would always say I wasn't a manager. I think when you manage people in some sort of way, it's kind of taking away from what your true role is. And I would always say I'm more of a coach. I'd rather be a leader than a manager, right? And
Yeah.
I would always, for myself, I believe very strongly in coaching with compassion. That was kind of my little segue. That was my line. When
Yeah.
you look at your own leadership, what do you think stands out? How do you lead? How do you kind of approach? You've said some loving things about people, which means you obviously care. And I think, to be honest with you, that really is what keeps people around. When they know that you care about them, not just care about them as a worker, but care about them as a person. But when you look at your own leadership style, how would you define it?
Well, every day I pray for patience and compassion.
Yep.
Those are my two things. I'm not perfect by any means, and
Nobody is, man.
right. And I think in this industry and a lot of industries, it's a big thing, the staffing issues that, companies go through
Sure.
for all kinds of reasons, right? But I'm the type of person that is willing to give just about anybody an opportunity to grow and develop.
Sure.
I think that's what's really a strength of mine, and I lead with that. I'm a teacher at heart, and I really God has gifted me with patience, no doubt. Even though I pray for more of it every day,
Sure. We could never have enough.
we never have enough. I really feel that that strength of mine and the ability to give people an opportunity to grow and develop, and sometimes just to see if being in this industry is what they really want. A lot of people think it is, and it's not.
Sure.
And a lot of people thrive.
Yep.
It's just really trying to give people a chance.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
And I can tell you with confidence that just from talking to you, Pam, that your mother would be so proud of you.
Thank
Just so amazed at everything you've done. We here at the Ill Noise Business Playbook really appreciate the time you've given us today. Thank you so much for being authentic. Thank you so much for coming up and being very honest and communicating so effectively what you do. And I just think it's really beautiful. And again, I would go back and just purchase your food because I think it tastes good. And I think that's really wonderful. So thank you so much for spending time with us today, Pam. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate your time.
You got it. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.